Apps can do a lot of cool things. You could order dinner, gamble on your favorite team, and track your health. You could even get a mortgage. One click and you can be approved. I'm not sure by who or what country they're in. You deserve more from the mortgage industry. At AnyMac Home Mortgage, we believe in the need for live human interaction during a very complex process. The kind of service and guidance which an app simply can't provide. Our customers are more than credit scores and income documents. They're individuals and families who live in and strengthen our communities. Their story is our story, and that story begins in a home. Chris Sawyer is an expert on providing superior customer service and in meeting the mortgage needs of current and future homebuyers. With over 18 years of experience in the industry, Chris is able to help customers migrate through the home buying and home financing process by using his wealth of knowledge as a well-qualified mortgage professional. And best of all, Chris is located in Cromwell, Connecticut, where he has helped hundreds of clients in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island make their dreams of homeownership a reality. Visit chrissawyer.any-mac.com. Email him at csawyer@any-mac.com or give him a call, 860-878-8730.
Chris Sawyer, NMLS number 39345, corporate NMLS number 338923. AnyMac Home Mortgage is an equal housing lender. American Neighborhood Mortgage Acceptance Company, LLC. DBA AnyMac Home Mortgage. Lo-Fi Direct. Connecticut First Mortgage Correspondent. Licensed lender. Broker number ML 338923. Massachusetts Mortgage Lender and Mortgage Broker License number MC 338923. Rhode Island Licensed Lender. License number 201128110L. Call for additional details.
Welcome to Sports Talk with RJ. I'm Steve Risser, along here with Justin D'Onofrio. And, you know, this Yankee team is starting to turn the corner a little bit. They're starting to turn the corner. I get it. But they've won 4 to 6. Last night, Giancarlo Stanton was phenomenal. 4 hits. He's been great, really, since he's moved. They put him in the field. He's been great. I mean, he's like 8 for 13, 2 home runs, 6 RBIs. So he's been great. Last night, the Yankees cruised to a 9-1 victory over the Twins. Keep their their 1-game lead on the Guardians for the last wild card spot. So Giancarlo Stanton was good. Volpe hit the 3-run homer. And then Judge, you know, in the first inning, he hit a home run too to tie the game. Rendon was great, only gave up 1 hit. So good win for the Yankees. The Yankees playing a little bit better now, winning 4 to 6. Are you back to watching them again, Justin? Are you back to watching them? Do you think? I'll ask that first. Are you back to watching them again?
I watched Saturday because I wanted to hear what some of the former players had to say about the team. So I wanted to find that out. And then I did watch Monday. So I knew it was a Twin. So I'm like, if they don't play well now, then we're really in trouble.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, because the Twins pretty much traded their entire – outside of Joe Ryan and Byron Buxton, the Twins pretty much traded their entire team.
Pretty much, yeah. And then I know the owners today that the Twins owner is about to sell, and now I guess they're going to bring in some new investors. So I know Twins fans aren't happy with that news either.
Yeah, they're getting ready. They're getting ready for JJ McCarthy out in Minnesota. They're getting ready for that. But yeah, I mean the Yankees, they have played better. You know which move has been really good for them at the trade deadline, getting better from Pittsburgh. Because let me tell you, that 5-out save, that game against the Rangers on Wednesday last week, that was a key win because that kept them in that last wild card spot. And then on Saturday, and he came in with the bases loaded. He only walked in a run, but then he struck out 2 guys. Grisham hits the homer. He ends up closing. I mean, he didn't get the save. He ended up, closing out the win, and they won that game. So he's really been. I know McMahon's been good, but this has definitely by far been their best move at the trade deadline.
Yeah. After that first outing against the Miami Marlins, he's been pretty good ever since. He's gone. He had that 42 pitch outing, which was the longest of his career. So he's been really good in that spot. And hopefully with Duvall kind of gets going, and sounds like Fernando Cruz might be back right around the time for the Red Sox series. Well, it'll be huge there. So yeah, he's been huge, and the rest and well-deserved couple days off too, and finally started pitching, gave him some depth too. So the bullpen last couple of nights have not had to work as hard as they've had for the last month or so.
Yeah, you brought up the starting pitching. Will Warren pitched well on Monday. Rendon was great last night. Here's the one thing about the starting pitching, though. Max Fried, who was great for the first 2 months of the season, the last month and a half, he's not been that good. He's struggled. He struggled on Sunday. He struggled against Texas when they gave him a 3-0 lead. Max Fried has not been as good. He was dominant to start the year. I mean, first 3 months of the season, he was dominant. But the last month and a half, he hasn't been. And that, to me, that's definitely a concern going forward.
Definitely is. I thought this week against the Astros, like, the command was better, but I thought before the Astros starts, the command was not there. He was falling behind a lot, and I think times when he gets to 2 strikes, he can't put guys away. I think that was a big thing on the Houston series. They started against Houston the other day. So yeah, Fried, what is it? Nice. Think the yes broadcast have it up on Monday. Like his last, I think it was close to like a 6, like this last month or something. It's not been good, and he definitely deserves a little leeway with how good he's been. And look, if he didn't pitch as well as he did the first couple months, his team would probably be 5 or 6 back of a wild card spot. But yeah, it's a little bit concerning because if his team does make the playoffs, you're probably playing Houston. He's your game 1 starter, and you're gonna need him to pitch really well. So hopefully he can get it going. But yeah, I think the command, but hopefully that was better Sunday against the Astros. So hopefully, next time around he can kind of put guys away with 2 strikes.
Listen, if they make the playoffs, I don't think they're playing Houston. I think they're playing Seattle. Seattle's won 8 in a row.
Oh, yeah.
And I think with the move Seattle made at the trade deadline, I think they're going to win that division. They're already tied for first place. Yeah. I think Seattle wins it. Let me tell you, you could argue right now Seattle might be the best team in the American League. The way they're playing right now with the moves they made, with the additions they made.
They're 10-1.
What do you say?
10-1 since 10-1 since Suarez came.
The two teams that made moves. The Mariners and the Padres have, they've been great recently. The Padres are tied for first in the NL West, and the Astros are tied for first in the AL West. So I think, if they get to say they end up the number 6 seed, or I think they're going to play the Mariners. I think they're going to play the Mariners, which would be a very, very difficult series going out to Seattle with the additions that they made. And the starting pitching has to be. And listen, the starting pitching just has to be. That's the weakness of this team right now. That's definitely the weakness, because offensively, with Stanton, with their lineup has been good all year. Their bullpen is definitely improved with what they did at the trade deadline. But the one thing Cashman didn't do is he didn't improve the rotation, and that's the big question mark this last month and a half of the season.
Yeah, that was the one thing I was hoping Cashman was going to do. That he didn't. You didn't see a lot of. Usually when Cashman goes get a start at the deadline, it's usually somebody that's got at least another year of control. And there wasn't many of those guys move this time around. And you wonder maybe the price was too much. And I think we're at a point with this Yankee team where you don't want to give up a Spencer Jones or a Lombard because this team isn't this team's not a World Series contender. I know the American League bad, but I don't see the team being there right now. So it's a big risk to take a chance, but it definitely is, because I know he'll look better. Schiller's got good stuff, but he's still he should still be in the minors developing, and Will Warren's been really, really good. So that's a good for the future. But yeah, you need Cole back. You got it. Hopefully Fried. I don't trust Rodon in a big spot. So it is still the big question mark. Is the starting pitching you would like it to be a little bit better.
I disagree with saying they're not a World Series contender because look at the Phillies at this point, 3 years ago. Were you saying they were a World Series contender? Did you think they were going to be? No. And they ended up getting to the World Series. Look at the Diamondbacks 2 years ago. Did you say they were going to be a World Series contender? No. And they got to the World Series. Look at the Mets last year. Were you saying they were a World Series contender at this point? Probably not. And they ended up getting to the NLCS. So I still think this Yankee team is a contender. I think baseball is the one sport, if you can get in the tournament, you have a chance. This isn't, it's the one sport where it's in the NBA, you could be in the playoffs and not have a chance. Even in the NFL playoffs, if you're the 6th or 7th seed, right now, the 7th seed, and have like a average quarterback, you might not have a chance. This is the one sport, if you get into the tournament, you have a chance. So I disagree. I know this team hasn't played well the last couple months of the season. I get it. But I do still think they are a World Series contender. I just think because there's a good chance they're gonna. I know they're only a game up on the Gardos, but there's a good chance they're gonna get into the tournament. And if you're in the tournament, especially in this sport, I feel like you can win.
You do, but if they do play Seattle, they ain't matching that starting pitching.
They don't.
They're just not. They don't hit great starting pitching in the playoffs.
It depends on their matchup. I agree with you. It depends on their matchup. Say they end up getting the Red Sox, even the Red Sox and Astros. Really, outside, you got a good point. Outside of the AL Central teams, Yes, they don't match up well with really any of these teams. And I'd argue they might not match up that well with the Tigers, too, even though they have injuries in their rotation.
Yeah. Yeah, there's Cleveland's coming up on them pretty quickly. So so but yeah, I know they're beating up on the Twins. I know they've won 4 of 6. I just need to see them beat up on you better go beat Boston 3 out of 4 next weekend when they come to your place.
You got a high bar there.
Then you show me. Show me something. Team hasn't showed me anything in 2 months.
Yeah.
Show me something that you've done better. So that's why I don't trust the guy in the dugout. I'd rather
I know. You were not a Boone guy. And I was gonna ask this question, has the team turned the corner? And I think you definitely said no. And I still will say no, because look at the opponent they've played the last 2 nights. The Twins are a team that's not, let's be honest, they're not a team that's not really trying to win. So yeah, to me, they have not turned the corner. They have to prove it. And I think the big barometer we'll see if they've really turned it around. If they could, as you said, take 3 out of 4 from the Red Sox next weekend.
Yeah, or even just go down to Tampa next week and take 2 from them. Just go beat an AL East team for once. They haven't done that. It feels like in years to beat in an American League. They just won a series against an American League East team. So that'd even be something. This is, the next, 6 games, 4-2, 5-1. Maybe I start turning the corner a little bit, because you got the Cardinals for 3, which they're kind of rebuild mode. They sold. And then you got 2 against the Rays who aren't playing well at all right now. So yeah, maybe I'll start looking 4-2, 5-1 the next, 6 here before Boston comes to town, and at least split with them. And maybe I'll change my tune a little bit, but I still think Boston's coming here next week and win 3 of 4.
Yeah, we'll see. But speaking of the Cardinals series, they do head out to St. Louis for a 3-game set with the Cardinals. You got Luis Gil, which is a big key to this team. Luis Gil is a big key because he was better in his second. He was not good in his first start coming back against the Marlins. Better in his second start against the Astros. He's the big key for this team because he's that third guy. Because Nolan's pitched well, Freed's pitched well for the majority of the season. I know Warren's been hot and cold, on and off, better lately, but Luis Gil is the key. Because he pitched really well last year, and if he can pitch really well this year, it gives his team a chance. He goes on Friday night against the trying to pronounce the name, Palente for the Cardinals, and then you got Max Fried against Sonny Gray, Will Warren against Miles Mikolas. I do think they take 2 out of 3 here because the Cardinals, they're in it, but as you said, they're kind of in a rebuild. They sold at the trade deadline, so I do think they go into St. Louis and take 2 out of 3.
I think so too. I think they will. St. Louis isn't playing great. It's gonna be tough to see Sam play the fields. I think Wright Field's a little challenging for Sam to play Busch Stadium, but you gotta keep his bat in the lineup. So even if he's not great out there, I think you gotta keep him in there. How high swinging the bat. So yeah, I agree. I think they take 2 out of 3 from St. Louis Cardinals this weekend. I know it's a team that's 1 game over 500, but they have pretty much sold it to trade deadline. So they're probably a year away. So you should take 2 out of 3 from them.
Yeah, you have to. If they don't, listen, I'll promise to tell you this. If they don't take 2 out of 3 from the Cardinals, I'm definitely saying they haven't turned the corner yet.
I completely agree with you. If they lose 2 out of 3 to these guys this weekend, definitely not. You're not feeling great going to Tampa or Boston next weekend if they can't beat the Cardinals right now.
No, definitely not. Absolutely not. Now, speaking of the Red Sox, last night they won big over the Astros. A little bit of a rough week for the Red Sox. I mean, they lost that Wednesday game to the Royals, lost 2 out of 3 to the Padres. Lost a couple in walk-off fashion on Friday night and on Monday night. So they lost 2 out of 3. The Padres were playing great. Padres are playing great. They lost the Red Sox. They're now 1-1 with the Astros. So I do still like how this team's playing though. I still do. Last night proved it. I mean, huge night for Wilyer Abreu and Carlos Narvaez. You had Bregman hitting a home run. Dustin May looked pretty good. I still think this team is. I know they had a rough start from Crochet and Bello this weekend, but I still think this team is in very good shape, being in that first or second wild card spot in the American League. Yeah,
Boston. It was a little bit tough weekend. You're playing a Padres team that's been playing really good baseball too of late. After you won Friday night, you wish you would have taken Saturday, Sunday, but yeah, and then you go down to Houston, a team that, pretty banged up right now, but have got it done, today going for the rubber match. And I think it's a huge thing that Dustin May looked a lot better than he did in his first start with the Red Sox. So I think that was huge. And yeah, Crochet had a rough one the other day, but he's been pitching so well that I'm not too concerned with that, and I think he'll bounce back in his next outing. And yeah, I think this Boston team's still playing pretty well. Yeah, maybe they come back down to earth a little bit here after they lost 3 straight, but with how but I think since the start of July, they got the best record in the American League at 23-12. So they're still playing really good baseball right now. The bullpen's been really good. The lineups, swinging the bat pretty well right now. So everything seems like it's clicking for the Boston Red Sox right now.
Yeah, I mean, I know they've lost 4-6, but I think the rotation is still, even though they didn't do a ton, they didn't do a lot of this team at the trade deadline. But I still think their pitching has been good. I think a lot of mixing and matching in the lineup since Devers has gotten traded. A lot of mixing and matching, but the mixing and matching has worked. They've had the best record in the American League, so the mixing and matching has worked. And yeah, I mean, I think this is a team that's going to be in it until the end. Just a huge series next weekend when they come to the Bronx to face the Yankees. That's just a huge series because right now the Sox are a game and a half ahead of the Yankees for the second. The Red Sox are the second wild card. Astros and Mariners have that first spot, and the Red Sox and Yankees are the second wild card right now. So it's going to be a huge series when the two teams when the Red Sox come to the Bronx next weekend.
Yeah, it definitely will be. It's gonna be huge, and it's gonna be huge for kind of second, because they got 7 games left, and Boston's already won 5 of 6. So
Yeah.
from the Yankees' point of view, that tiebreaker, could come down and mean something. So yeah, it'd be a big one kind of for both teams. But definitely, yeah, for the Red Sox, they've already kind of shown that they've kind of owned the Yankees so far. So I think it means a lot for the Yankees to hopefully hold your own next weekend and at least get a split. But the way Boston's been playing, I would not be surprised to see them take 3 or 4. Because nobody's scared of playing the New York Yankees anymore, and I think the Red Sox aren't afraid to come in here, and they got all those young guys too. So it's gonna be huge series just for like really getting second place there, and especially if Boston wins 3 out of 4, you're pretty much set that they're gonna finish second in the American League. So could mean it's definitely gonna mean something. It's the first time in a couple years where it's a really meaningful series in this rivalry too. It's been a couple years.
Yeah, we'll get into it next week. Probably the first time since 2021 when they had that big series thing in September at Fenway. Those big series in September at Fenway and Yankee Stadium, and then they played in that one game. They played in that wild card game at Fenway. I think it's the biggest series, biggest series between the two teams since 2021. A big reason for that is Craig Breslow. Breslow, I think, has done a really, really good job with this team. I say it week in and week out. Breslow, getting Crochet, they're trading for Crochet, signing Bregman, signing Giolito, he's just done a really, really good job with this team. I think he's done a really good job of, building this team, and that's why they're in the position they're in right now.
Yeah, they've done a really good job evaluating scouting lately. And their farm systems, all the young guys they brought up so far have looked like they're guys that can play. And I know that's always a risk with prospects at times. Some of them aren't ready to go, and some of them turn out to be busts. But all of them have played pretty well so far. And yeah, Breslow's done a nice job of kind of spending a little, going out and re-signing, or extending Crochet, going out getting Bregman. And look, I think since the trade deadline, I know, yeah, they could have done a lot more. I thought they gave up a little bit too much for the guys they even got there. But maybe he didn't want to mix with the kind of chemistry going on with his team. He didn't want to bring in a huge move that maybe, just in the clubhouse. Maybe there's something to that. But so far, it looked like he hasn't really had to make that giant move because everything's come together. And I really am shocked at how well this bullpen's pitched too. I thought the rotation had some talent, and they've pitched better than I thought they would. But the bullpen, the bullpen's pitched a lot better than I thought they would going in. And again, it's been better than the Yankees bullpen. And I don't think both of us never would have thought that in mid-August that the Red Sox bullpen would be better than the Yankees bullpen at this point in the season.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree with you there. I never thought that. You're definitely right about that. I never thought that. Now, talking about the two teams having that big series and having that big series next week. As of right now, the question really is who has a better chance to make the playoffs, the Yankees or the Red Sox? And I'll go first, and no bias here. I'm still gonna say the Yankees because I look at the schedule. Now the Red Sox do have a pocket of games, after they play the Yankees, a 16-game stretch where they got the Orioles, they got the Pirates, they got the Diamondbacks, and they got the A's. But if you look at the Yankees schedule to wrap up this season, after they play the Red Sox in that first series, in August, they got 7 games with the Nationals and 7 games with the White Sox. And they host the Nationals for 3, then they head to Chicago to play 4 with the White Sox. Then look at the Yankees schedule to end the season. Okay, they got a 3-game set. It's tough at the beginning of the month because they got Toronto and the Tigers coming to the Bronx, and then they go to Fenway for a 3-game set in the middle of September. But after that, look at their last 13 games. At the Twins for 3, at the Orioles for 4, hosting the White Sox for 3, and then hosting the Orioles for 3. They're pretty much playing, a bunch of last place teams to end the season. They're playing a bunch of last place teams to end the season. The Yankees schedule is very, 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 very favorable. That's why I do think they will make the playoffs, and I do think they end up finishing in second place ahead of the Red Sox.
More confident the Red Sox right now than the Yankees. I just look, unfortunately, the Yankees can't play the Twins 162 times a year. That'd be very nice. But I have to see the Yankees beat up on some of these bad teams. Like, I just have to see it to believe it because I could see them dropping 2 out of 3 to a White Sox team. I could see them dropping 2 out of 3 to Baltimore. I could see that. And again, there's that 12-game stretch of the Yankees to start September at Houston, Toronto, Texas, then at Boston again. Who could say they go 4-8 during that stretch? I like the way Boston's playing. I think they're a better team right now than the Yankees, and I'm more confident in their kind of young players to keep it going. And I just don't really believe it from this Yankee team. They just got swept the Marlins a couple weekends ago.
And you were there for 2 of those games.
Yeah, I was there. That will. I still don't know how they got swept, but they did. And the Marlins haven't been playing great since then. I know they're overachieving this year. They're only 5 under, but still, you got swept by a team with a $60 million payroll. So there's nothing I just won't be surprised if anything out of the outcome. If you told me the Yankees got swept by the O's at the end of the year, I wouldn't be shocked. I just wouldn't with this team. So I never know when to get out of them. And I think this Boston team's playing pretty well, and I don't think they're going to slow down anytime soon.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll definitely be talking about that huge series in the Bronx next week. We'll be definitely talking about that series in the Bronx next week. But we got a star running back who just got paid. But before we talk about that, we are going to hear from our friends at JPEG Financial and Shamrock Home Inspections.
Do you have a 401k and some savings for future retirement, but don't even know if it's enough to live off of? How much is enough? How often are you thinking about it? The team at JPEX Financial Group can help set your mind at ease. We specialize in creating strategies in the planning and managing of your financial, educational, and investment needs. We help clients pursue their investment goals with sound financial strategies. You deserve a personal, tailored plan. Lasting, meaningful, and open relationships are the foundation of our practice. You've worked hard for your money and should feel confident in your investment choices as you make decisions for your financial future. Your goals are our goals. We are dedicated to your needs and hopes for your future. Visit our website and give us a call at 860-430-5397. Securities offered through Raymond James Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA, SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Raymond James Financial Services Advisors, Inc. JPEX Financial Group, LLC is not a registered broker-dealer and is independent of Raymond James Financial Services. JPEX Financial Group is located at 78 Eastern Boulevard, Glastonbury, Connecticut. There's no bigger investment than home ownership. And to make sure the house is up to your standards, you need a professional to look it over. Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections is a licensed home inspector and a member of the Connecticut Association of Home Inspectors. Brian was a contractor for over 15 years, so he knows how homes should be constructed and how mechanicals should work.
What makes me a good home inspector was the 20 years that I was a home improvement person, doing all the different repairs that I have done and what other people have done wrong that I had to go out and fix. So I have a pretty quick eye on seeing what's right and what's wrong. Before you move, call Shamrock Home Inspections.
Before you make the biggest investment of your life, call Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections at 860-268-2566 or visit shamrockhomeinspectionct.com.
All righty, the Bills and their star running back agreed to a new deal today, 4 years, $48 million, and really good day for the Bills. Really good day for the Bills to get, because it's been an issue for a while, for a couple months now. He actually returned to practice yesterday. You know, he was holding out for a little. He started out practicing, then he held out for a little bit, but it is nice to see that, you know, they have agreed to a new deal, and he's, let me just say, since the middle of 2023, the last year and a half, he has been the best skill guy on offense for the Bills. He's been the best skill guy, has rushed for over 1,000 yards the last 2 years. Last year he had a big year. He's good in the receiving game too. This is their, I mean, I'd say their third best offensive player. Obviously Josh Allen 1, Deion Dawkins 2, and then James Cook 3. So I really like this deal for the Bills. He's been a really good pick. It was a really good pick by Brandon Beane. And I think this Bills team is ready to go. They're ready to I think they're ready to finally get over the hump and get to that Super Bowl.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it feels like the year for the Bills. And yeah, I like to move James Cook, and he was somebody too when he even came out of college. Like he shared the backfield with other guys in college. So since college or whatever, I think he's only had like 820 something, you know, touches. So, you know, going to your second deal, that's pretty good for a running back too of his caliber.
Yeah.
So he's still pretty fresh. So you love to see that. And yeah, you know, he's been really versatile out of the backfield. You mentioned, you know, good receiving back as well. You know, rushed over 1,000 yards the last couple of years. So yeah, I really like this move for the Bills. And yeah, this kind of feels like the year for the Bills. Like if it doesn't happen this year, it's, you know, will it ever happen for that poor fan base? So yeah, I really like the move for Buffalo there to retain him, and then you know, because man, they have one of the teams like they have a pretty easy schedule for the most part this year too. So like this feels like this could really be the year for Buffalo.
I won't give away what I think the Bills are going to do this year because we'll wait for a couple weeks when we do our season predictions. But I'm in agreement with you. This definitely looks like, I know the Bills didn't really add a lot to their team, but they brought a lot of guys, like James Cook. They brought him back. They have guys back from last year's team that lost in the conference championship game. And you hit the nail on the head with the schedule. Home to the Ravens on opening night, home to the Chiefs in the middle of the season, and home to the Eagles at the end of the season. A lot of their big games are at home. So I feel like there's a very, very good chance for this Bills team. Like Thurman Thomas said in Hard Knocks, let's finally get the number 1 seed and let's be at home for the entire postseason. I think there's a very good chance that this Bills team can get the number 1 seed and be at home for the entire postseason, because let's be honest, they're by far the best team in their division.
Yeah, they should win that division by at least 4 or 5 games. They should.
I mean, I like what the Patriots have done, but
but the
still,
Pats
they're
are
not
9-8. Yeah, they're like I think the Pats are 9-8, maybe 10-7 at best. 10-7 is probably the best they do. I feel like this year. So they should, but Bills should win that thing by 3-4 games. So yeah, I really like this Bill team, and you mentioned I don't think they had to add a ton either. Like I think they're a really good team. They just got to find a way to just get over that hump that's been so hard for them. It's been mostly the Chiefs. They just can't get over the Chiefs in the playoffs.
Here's the funny thing. They've beaten the Chiefs the last 4 years in the regular season, but they've lost them 3 of the last 4 years in the postseason.
Yeah, that's the thing. It just, I know 2 of those 3 have been in Kansas City, but you would love to flip the script and have that AFC Championship game again at home. And again, you feel like you'd have a better shot going in. If you get Patrick Mahomes at home, at home there, where Mahomes hasn't had a lot of postseason road games. I know he can handle it, but you put yourself in a better spot. So yeah, the Bills get that 1 seed this year. At least set up themselves well for maybe taking on Mahomes this year, at home in the playoffs. Fine, they're due. They're due to beat them in the playoffs, you feel like.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens there. But good day for the Bills. Get James Cook locked up and get focused on getting finally for Josh Allen and this Bills team with Sean McDermott getting to the Super Bowl. But we'll move on to the other two New York teams, and they have had joint practices the last 2 days. And my biggest takeaway, and we'll focus on the Giants side of this, it has been, we'll start with the positive. Their front four, man, is really, really good. And they've shown it from reading what Jordan Renan and Rich Cimini have had to say, this front four has been really, really, this pass rush has been really, really good at joint practices. They have been excellent. This pass rush has been with Abdul Carter, with Dexter Lawrence, with Brian Burns. This front four has been, it was hyped up even since the draft of how good it's going to be. It showed up in the preseason game on Saturday, and it showed up in these joint practices today and yesterday against the Jets. So this front four has been really, really good. But there is a negative to what's been going on. There were negatives this week to these joint practices with the Giants, and especially yesterday. And I know they didn't have Malik Neighbors or Andrew Thomas, probably their two best offensive players, but this offense really, really struggled, especially in protection. That's a major question mark for this team going into the season, is their offensive line. But and Russell Wilson, 2 for 8 passing yesterday, so he really struggled. And I know he looked pretty good in the preseason game. Again, that one drive he played against the Bills in the preseason game, he actually looked pretty good, but he really struggled. Especially, better today, I've heard. From what I've read, better from Renan and Cimini, better today, but he really, really struggled on Tuesday in the joint practices. So it's no surprise. It's no surprise to what's been happening on the field for the Giants so far. Pass rush and the defenses look good. Offense, there's a lot of leakage there. There are holes there. Offense, there's a lot of question marks going into the season. Offensive line first. I'd even say run game because Scadaboo's been out, and obviously the quarterback because I feel like he's definitely not the guy he was 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, and I think Wilson getting up there in age. Yeah, it definitely hurts not having Neighbors Towns out there. But yeah, your defense is keeping a lot of games. Your offense be, I think the thing is for you guys is can your offense be somewhat, can they just score enough points?
Yeah, exactly. Score enough points.
I was looking for that word. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you guys are confident, maybe even with that schedule, maybe you find a way to win 6-7 games. So, and yeah, I was a little bit surprised. I know the offense will not have Thomas there. I didn't see much against that. I watched the highlights. You got to throw the ball 51 times to give up a sack. Like, I'm like, oh, that's progress.
That is a positive. That's a good point. That is definitely progress. That is definitely progress with the way the O-line played on Saturday. But they kind of took a step backwards in these joint practices.
Yeah. I know the Jets up front are pretty good, too.
And they bring a lot of pressure. The thing, too, is they bring a lot of pressure as well. Aaron Glenn likes to bring pressure. You'll see definitely a different – as a Patriot fan, you're going to see a different Jet defense this year.
Yeah. I liked what I outside the penalties from the Jets on Saturday. And then Aaron Glenn, too, yelling at the player. That's the first time you've seen that from a head coach, too, in a while.
Yes. Yeah, you'll see.
First time
the Jets won't be. I think they're a 5-6 win team, but they'll definitely be much better coached than they were a year ago. I'll guarantee you that.
Oh yeah, that absolutely. It looked like it. From what I've seen so far from them. So yeah, but yeah, I think your Giants. The pass rush looked really, really good. It's going to be scary, but yeah, it's hey, going up against that pass rush every day, it's only going to make your offensive line better.
Exactly.
At least it should. So
exactly, it definitely.
It's get tested every day. So yeah, from the Giants' point of view, yeah, the offense is going to be the issue, but your defense keeping a lot of games. That's going to be the key, and hopefully your offense can just do enough in some of the games, and you steal a couple this year.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Another big story is Jackson Dart. I mean, how long is it going to be? When is it going to be until Jackson Dart takes over? And I'll get to that in my preseason takeaways. But how long is it going to be until Jackson Dart takes over? Russell Wilson cannot struggle for a while. Say his team starts 0-4 and he isn't playing well, it's probably going to be over for him because they got a soft landing spot in New Orleans in Week 5 where they'll probably start Jackson Dart. So Wilson has got to, at minimum, start this, play pretty well and have the team have at minimum a win for him to keep his job until October.
Yeah, absolutely. Because with preseason and the quarterbacks, I take more away from the quarterbacks who don't look great than the ones who do look more impressive. And yeah, the way Wilson Wilson continues to struggle. Yeah, because Dart looked pretty good there on Saturday, and I think you have to be encouraged with the progress that he's making. And yeah, if he could start week 5 in New Orleans and yeah, a soft landing spot down there and he plays well, yeah, he'd be huge. I know you got Jameis there too, but yeah, like especially the Giants are 0-4 going that game to New Orleans. The pressure's gonna start heating up for Dable again. If Jack Dirk could go down there and put up 24 points in that game, you feel pretty good about that, about Dart's future. So yeah, absolutely. Dart looked good, and yeah, if he continues to get better week in and week out, and yeah, he gets in there. We fight. So you play a lot of really good defenses. So yeah, if you can get him in there week 5, and if Wilson's looking that bad, if you throw him in there week 5, he give you a spark. I think would be big for kind of the future if Dart could kind of look the part.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see what happens there. I'll get more to Dart. Oh, spoiler alert. I'll get more to Dart in my preseason takeaways. But yeah, so no surprise. No surprise how the Giants looked in these 2 joint practices against the Jets. Good defensively, struggled offensively. Probably going to be a preview of what is going to come for the regular season this year. But speaking of quarterbacks, we'll get to 2 quarterbacks who there's a chance they might not play in week 1 due to injuries. Jordan Love hurt his thumb, and he's getting surgery. He's getting a procedure done on it. There's a good Gutekunst has said there's a good chance he's going to be ready for week 1 against the Lions. But Matthew Stafford too. He's his back injury. I think out of the 2, there's definitely more of a concern about Matthew Stafford because they said he was going to be back at practice on Monday. He's still out. I think that's definitely more of a concern than Jordan Love. I think there is. I think Love will be back for week 1, but I think Matthew Stafford. I think there's a little bit of a concern. I think he'll be back. I think there's a little bit of a concern there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I feel a little bit more concerned with Stafford with his age because the back's been an issue before, I believe, for him too. So, yeah, and they kind of like McVay sounded pretty confident last week they'd be ready to go Monday, and then said he didn't recover well off the workout, and so yeah, that's a little bit more worrying to me. I know Stafford probably doesn't need a ton of preseason reps, but you do have some new weapons out there that you do want to try to get some chemistry there, and you do have Houston and Tennessee the first 2 weeks before you go to Philly. But yeah, with his age, you are a little bit concerned. You do have Jimmy G back there. Again, he's not great, but
he's a good
backup.
Very capable backup.
Yeah. So, and with McVay's scheme, system, they'll tailor it for Jimmy G well. But yeah, I'm more concerned right now for Matthew Stafford than I would be Jordan Love.
Yeah, I would be too. I think Love's going to be back and Stafford. There definitely is a concern. And here's the thing with the Rams. The Rams are built to win now. I mean, with Kyren Williams and Puka, with Kyren Williams, Puka Nacua. And you look at that defensive line, Jared Verse is going to be a stud. He's potentially going to be a stud. You got Colby Turner, you got Byron Young. You have a really good defensive front there. The Rams are built to win now, and the Rams were the team that almost beat the Eagles last year. If it wasn't for Jalen Carter sacking Matthew Stafford, there's a very good chance they could have beaten the Eagles last year in the playoffs. It could have been them winning the Super Bowl. So a lot of people do think that the Rams are the biggest threat to the Eagles in the NFC. I think it's the Lions, but a lot of people think the Rams are the biggest threat to the Eagles in the NFC. So but none of this is possible if Stafford isn't healthy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know the Rams right when the offseason started, there was rumors of, Stafford, they may have been looking to move on from Stafford and trade him. And, obviously he didn't because at his age, it's a risk. And yeah, and you mentioned the time's now for the Rams to get back to the Super Bowl. And yeah, this would definitely put a huge hole in that if Stafford's not ready to go and Jimmy G's got to be your starting quarterback for, the foreseeable future. So yeah, the Rams, they're definitely one note down. It's heavily concerning that Stafford with the back injury right now. It's definitely caused concern because I think I agree with you. I think it's a Rams team that is right there contending with the Eagles in the NFC and could get right back to the NFC Championship game. I would be shocked, but yeah, if there's no Matthew Stafford for foreseeable future, yeah, that definitely because I think they're very right now. I have them winning. If Cyber's healthy, I'd take them over the Niners to win the NFC West. But now it's I'm not sure now. Now they gotta see what happens. See what happens the next couple of days and week.
Again, I'm not going to spoil what they think the Rams are going to do if Stafford's healthy, but I do think there's. Let's be honest. But I'm going to tell you this. I think there's going to be definitely a difference. The Rams, obviously, and this happens all over the league if their quarterback's out. There's definitely going to be a difference if Stafford's healthy or not healthy for the Rams. But speaking of quarterbacks, Indy has probably the biggest quarterback competition in the preseason. That's between Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones. And as you saw on Thursday night, Anthony Richardson failed to see a blitz, hurt his finger. Now he's going to be back Saturday for their preseason game in Green Bay against the Packers. But Daniel Jones will start for a couple series. Then Anthony Richardson will take the majority of the reps for the rest of the first half. But the question is if you're Indy, who should the starter be? Anthony Richardson or Daniel Jones? And it depends on how close it is. But if it's really close, I'm still going to go with Anthony Richardson because I don't think you can start Daniel Jones, him not play well, and then go back to Richardson because I think Richardson will just be done at that point. I just don't think you can go back to Richardson if you don't start Richardson. So if it's really, really close, and I know a lot of people's jobs are on the line here. Shane Steichen, his job's on the line. And I think Chris Ballard's job is definitely on the line here for the Colts. So I think if it is close, I think Richardson could be the starter because if Richardson plays poorly, you could bench Richardson and then go to Jones and have Jones pretty much save your jobs. Try to save your job. So I think if it's close, I think you have to go Anthony Richardson as a starter because he's the guy you took number 3 overall a couple of years ago.
Yeah. I have Daniel Jones right now. This is one of my takeaways, when we get to the preseason stuff. I don't think Anthony Richardson's improving. Like, he still can't pick up a blitz. You can't still really read the defenses. He's very injury prone. I get it that, you don't want to break his confidence and then, have Daniel Jones. But I'm just not seeing Anthony Richardson getting much better. And I just don't know what he continue to put him out there as a starter is going to do for him. I don't think that's going to help his confidence either. But he had 8 touchdowns and 12 INTs last year. I haven't really seen him grown as a quarterback. He didn't play a ton of college either. He was banged up a lot. Then, he's behind Kyle Trask there for a couple years at Florida. But I get the raw talent that is there, but we're in year 3 now. Is it, I haven't seen it come out yet. And I know your job's on the line, and I think it might be a safer bet right now to go Daniel Jones because Richardson might get hurt anyways, unfortunately. So I'm slightly on the Daniel Jones should probably start week 1 right now.
I get what you mean about, him not being – listen, he's – for a third-year quarterback, he's not good at the line of scrimmage. He needs to see that. That's a blitz that should be picked up easily. A third-year quarterback has got to pick up that blitz easily. That should have been picked up. So I get what you're saying, and I know he has not really grown. I thought he had 2 pretty good moments last year. Now, the opponents were not good. The Jet game where he came back and won it, and the Patriot game. Now the opponents were garbage. So I'll say that it was the Patriots and the Jets. So, but you're right about the whole thing about Richardson, about him not growing. And I know I understand that, but if it is close, he's the guy. He's the guy you drafted. And I said it earlier, the guy you drafted in the top 5. I think you have to go with him to start the year. And then if it's going really poorly, 3-4 weeks in the season, put Daniel Jones in, see if he could, get you. See if he could, get you to the postseason. See if he could try to help you save your jobs. But I just don't think you could start with Daniel Jones, have Daniel Jones play poorly, and go to Anthony Richardson. I just don't think that's going to work. I don't think it's going to work because I think if Richardson gets benched before the season even begins, I think his confidence is gone. I think he's done.
Yeah, and I get that. And I get it. That's, one of the reasons, why it was a tough choice to go with Daniel Jones. But I'm just there like, could they just break his confidence if he's still not? Because, I know he had some moments last year where he looked like he's, the guy they drafted out of Florida, but what happens? He goes out there again, throws like, first game, week 1, he throws three interceptions. Like if he's not ready, if he still can't pick up like a simple blitz, what are we, like, I don't know how he's ever going to be able to be a franchise NFL quarterback. Like, if he still can't identify that stuff, he shouldn't be out there because he's going to get himself hurt.
I know.
He's a guy that hasn't been healthy. So
I get it.
I get what you're saying. I'm just like, you're not. I really think it's, whatever way the Colts choose, it's not going to be a great decision because you could hurt Richard's confidence if you bench him, or you get hurt his confidence, you go out there and he can't play and he can't pick up a sack, or he's going to get himself hurt and he's going to miss time again. So I feel like right now Daniel Jones is a little bit safer. I can't believe I'm saying it, but he's a little bit more, he's a little bit safer than Richardson at the moment. And it's a team too that I don't think they're going to beat the Texans in the AFC South, but they're going to be right there. So if Richardson costs you a game or two, that could hurt you in your playoff hopes. And, you mentioned it, Ballard's fighting for his job this year.
Yeah, that's a good point, saying that's where they are in terms of the standings. They were close to Houston. They were pretty close to Houston last year. And I think Houston got a little bit worse, trading Laramie Tunsil away. And you look at some of the talent on Indy's offense, with Michael, with Pittman, with Alex Pierce, with Tyler. I'll tell you, I like Tyler Warren a lot. Pretty good offensive line there. Defensively, they improved too, getting Tre'Davious Ward, getting Cameron Bynum. So, yeah, I mean, they can't have the quarterback in this position continue to hold them back. So if it's a blow, if Jones is better than Richardson by a wide margin, I think you start Jones. I'm just saying if it's close, I think you got to give Richardson the nod. But I think we're all in agreement with this. Two people's jobs are clearly on the hot seat. Two people are clearly. Shane Steichen, outside of Mike McDaniel, I think he's the coach who's on the hot seat the most going into the season. And Chris Ballard, I think he's the GM who was on the hot seat the most. Seeing that he's been there, this is his 9th year, and they haven't even won the division. So you got a coach and a GM on the hot seat. So if it is a wide margin between Jones and Richardson, I'll go Jones. But as I said earlier, if it's close, I'm going Richardson.
Yeah, and I'm just saying, and I get it. You hope that he gets, that this could be the year for him. But yeah, if it's close, I wouldn't be shocked if they go Richardson instead. But if Jones sees out playing, which I think is possible, and I think they'll end up going Jones here. And yeah, jobs are on the line here, and because this was like his, I know Luck got hurt, but like they had placeholders.
Yeah, they've had placeholders. This was supposed to be bad. This was supposed to be Ballard's guy.
Yeah, it's supposed to, and it has not turned out well. And I said at the time that this was more of a reach. I think I had him on, I think we both had Will Levis here, and that hasn't worked out either. But
no.
I thought it was a reach. I don't think I had Anthony Richardson going the first round. This was a major reach.
It was a reach, and it definitely looked like a reach so far for the Colts. Now we'll get to our takeaways of week 1 of the preseason, and I'll start, and we'll go 5. I'll go 5-1. And number 5 for me, Shedeur Sanders looked good. Let's be honest. Shedeur Sanders, I know he played against second and third team guys, but he looked good. Shedeur Sanders did look good, and it's 14 for 23, 2 touchdown passes, and I would not be surprised because I don't think the Browns are going to be. I don't think the Browns are going to be good. I would not be surprised if he gets playing time at the end of the season. I really wouldn't be. For the way he looked so far, I wouldn't be surprised if he got playing time during the season. Number 4 for me, we'll stick with the rookie quarterbacks. I really like how Jackson Dart looked. Led the Giants on 3 scoring drives, threw that touchdown pass down the sidelines to Jordan Humphrey. And let me tell you, Montreal Washington, who he's actually had a really good rapport with in the preseason, dropped 2 balls that would have been first downs that would have extended those drives. So I really liked how Jackson Dart looked, and I think it's going to be sooner. It could be sooner than later for Jackson Dart to be the starter for the Giants. To me, it's not a matter of if he's going to start, it's when he's going to start for the Giants this year. Number 3, I'm going to go with the Patriots. I really like the way – I know they played against a bunch of backups. The Commanders played a lot of their backups. But I really like the way the Patriots looked. I really like the way they looked. They stood right off the bat, Travion Henderson with the kick return for a touchdown. Then forcing – I know they had the turnover from Drake May, and Mike Vrabel showed you he was not happy with that. That reporter asked the question, and he was not happy with that. Mike Vrabel's going to be entertaining with the media. He definitely is.
Yeah.
But he was not happy about that. So I really like the Patriots look. A lot of people think that team It definitely looked like that in week 1 of the season. Number 2, a team that's going to be competing, it's probably going to be competing with the Patriots for one of those wild card spots. I like the fact with the slow starts the Bengals have had that they played their starters in the preseason. I like that they did that. I like Burrow looked great in those first 2 drives. I know he played against a lot of 2s from the Eagles, but I really like the fact that the Bengals played their starters in the preseason, because this team has gone off to 3 consecutive years they've lost their first 2 games, and last year they started 0-3 and started 1-4. So I really, really like the fact that the Bengals played their starters. And then my number 1 takeaway, I don't understand why Caleb Williams didn't play. Why he didn't play? He struggled. Number 1, he struggled this preseason, and that's gotten public that he struggled in the preseason. And then number 2, he's got a new coaching staff. You want to see this offense, this new offense with Ben Johnson. You want to see how he adjusts to it in live action. How he gets acclimated to this new offense in live action. He didn't. And there's a lot of questions out there that Ben Johnson, because that was this was Sunday afternoon. It was kind of a game that was kind of a standalone game, that he did this to protect him. So it's not the best look in Chicago. To me, it's not the best look in Chicago right now. It's really not the best look in Chicago with Caleb Williams. And to me, I don't understand why he didn't play in week 1 of the preseason. I don't understand it. Justin, your 5 takeaways.
Yeah, my 5 takeaways from this week. I went with number 5, and I went my Patriots as well here. Yeah, I was very impressed with the way they looked. It was a good day overall. I know they unveiled the Brady statue for it, and they should have done that. They should have had Brady just a one-day thing, like the statue, the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
They should have made it whole one day. But good all around day. I thought Drake May, the turnover wasn't great, but I really liked how the team looked. They looked a lot more better prepared, and they looked a lot more disciplined than the Washington Commanders as well. They only had 2 penalties, I believe. Washington like 13. So, it's very nice to have a head coach again this year.
Yeah, I know.
You could see the difference.
You can see the difference. Yes, you definitely can.
Yeah, because last year they got blitzed, I think, preseason week 1 by Philly.
Philly, that was a disaster last week.
Yeah, that was bad. That was foreshadowing a lot of the preseason, the whole season as a whole. Number 4 for me was Anthony Richardson. Still just looks like he can't read much of a defense. He still can't pick up blitzes like that. He still looks really, really raw. That was my 4th one. Number 3 with me was the Dolphins. They could be in some major trouble if Tua gets banged up at some point this year. I didn't even think Zach Wilson looked that great. And Quinn Ewers, 5 for 18 against 3rd and 4th stringers, looked like a disaster. If Tua gets hurt, that Dolphins season could spiral way out of control really, really quickly. Number 2 is for me was the Caleb, as you just mentioned, the Caleb Williams not playing in the preseason. If they're really protecting him, I'm very, very concerned with this team. I know some of the preseason reports been good. Some of them have not been great out of form. But yeah, you want to get acclimated. You're playing a Dolphins team that's not great. This is a time, even you throw me at the 2nd or 3rd teamers, just give them some confidence going. I was a little bit surprised. Like, are they not going to play him again this weekend? Because they have an 8 o'clock game on Fox.
I know. It's another standalone game against the Bills. Yeah, another standalone game. Are they going to do the same thing?
Yeah, like I just don't love hearing that right now with that team. So I'm not. But I'm not, I don't think I'm going to be that high on the Bears going in this year. I don't think I am, but I'm now even more kind of feel good about that for me in that prediction. And then my first one or my final one was, the Bengals offense was great, but man, Tanner McKee lit them up and did whatever. I'm glad they played their starters, but man, their defense is going to be an absolute putrid. It did not look much better on Thursday night. I'm very concerned with their defense, and I know the Steelers aren't going to be great, but if that defense can't be any better than it was last year, I still think they're finishing and I think I would not be surprised to see them finish behind the Steelers in the AFC North. So like the Bengals offense, and it looked good. There's Joe Burrow and the offense looked really good, but man, their defense is an absolute. It's still a train wreck, and I just I feel for bro, and I don't know. I've said it a couple of times that guy could be the next Dan Marino and just not get back to Super Bowl.
He very easily could, and the defense, it was a disaster. I praise the offense, but you're right, the defense was an absolute. You went the other way. The defense was an absolute disaster. It was a disaster.
I saw there's Eagle fans talking about Tanner McKee should start over Jalen Hurts.
Stop, pump the brakes, please. Jalen Hurts is a top 5 quarterback in the league, so stop with that one.
I laughed at it. But that's how good Darren McKee looked.
I know.
It's a defending Super Bowl champion. They're questioning their starting quarterback week 1.
Yeah, the defense of the Bengals is a disaster. They need Trey Hendrickson back in the worst way because their defense is absolutely terrible. But we're going to wrap up the show reacting to the AP Top 25 poll. We did the coaches poll last week. We reacted to the AP Top 25 poll this week that came out on Monday. And we got some different questions this week. And the first one is Penn State, 23 votes to be the number 1 team in the country. Even as a Penn State fan, and I know they're getting Aller's back, I know Singletary and Katron Allen are back, and they got a lot of pieces back on defense, but 23 first place votes. And let's not forget, for a team that lost 2 guys that could be really good rookies this year. Abdul Carter, who I think is going to be the defensive rookie of the year, and Tyler Warren, who could have a very good rookie season. They lost 2 of the top players in college football. Let's not forget that. I know they got a ton returning, but let's not forget they lost, two top players going to the year. So even as a Penn State fan, yes, this is the best chance they have to win a national championship in almost, I'd say since probably the 08 season. Last year they were close too, but since the 08 season when they lost to Iowa, or even this 2016 season when they probably should have gotten to the college football playoff, Saquon's sophomore year. But I do think 23 first place votes is too much for Penn State.
Yeah. I'm not shocked. I told you a couple months ago, I think when we first brought up, I wouldn't be shocked that they were number 1 AP. I think it's that wide open that I'm not surprised. And I think up front, I've said this off the air. I think I even said it on the air when we talked about the Big Ten preview or a couple weeks ago. I really think Penn State's got the best offensive line. They're right there off in the defensive line, being the tops in the country. And again, I think I brought this up to Ohio State and Michigan, both the last 2 Big Ten champions, both senior-led teams. And I think that's what Penn State's got
You're
a
right
lot
about
of
that. You're right about that. You're definitely right about that. Yeah. But the one thing that's a question mark is the coach. And the coach's success against, and the coach has never beaten Ryan Day. He's never beaten Ryan Day, and they got to go to Columbus. I know Ohio State's lost a lot, but they got to go to Columbus, and they still got 2 of the best players in college football, in Jeremiah Smith and Caleb Downs.
Yeah, and that's a tough thing. But hey, Bobby Bowden, that was his thing for a while. He finally won it. Even I was born in Nebraska, could never win the big one. He finally got over that hump. It definitely, that's a big question mark with this team, and can they get over the hump? It helps you get Oregon at home, and that's I know Ohio State's gonna be tough, but again, maybe if you lose that one, maybe you get them again in Indy. But yeah, I don't know if you're confident you're gonna beat them. But look, I think Ohio State maybe is a little bit better because it killed down Jeremiah Smith, but and just because they've had your number over the years. But I think it's a really good team, and I think if you kind of just put the 2 teams on the field, Penn State might have a little bit more talent. And again, it's Drew Altuve's a huge question. Can he take that next jump? Can he be more confident throwing the ball down the field this year? I think Pena coming in from Syracuse, I think he's going to be a really good wide receiver for you. I think he's going to be the first talented one you guys have had a couple years now. So I think it's a very talented team, but yes, it's getting over that Ohio State hump now for him.
Yeah, we'll see. Definitely, that's a huge, huge game on November 1st when they head to Columbus. Now, speaking of a team who has a big game to start their season, that's Clemson, and they play LSU in their opener. And they were not top 5 in the coaches poll, but they were top 5 in the AP poll, and they got votes to be the number 1 team. They got votes to be the number 1 team in the country. a top 5 team. And probably, I'm going to say yes. Even though they go trouble of going to the portal, he does have the quarterback turning, and he has 2 national titles. And some good I've read somewhere they have some good D-line prospects too.
Yeah,
I do think Clemson should be a top 5 team.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think they're a little bit underrated, you could say. The 2 pass rushers that, again, like those Clemson teams of old that won national championships, TJ Parker, Peter Woods, 2 of the best pass rushers. They're definitely going to be definitely potential to be first rounders this year. And then Avion Terrell, 2 at the corner spot. I think it's AJ Terrell's younger brother. I'm pretty 90% sure it is.
Yeah.
He's got potential too to be a first rounder this year. So, I think this is going to be a vintage Clemson defense. And at the quarterback spot with Kate Klubnik, you could put him in the argument for the best returning starting quarterback in the country, but I'm not totally there. But like, if you fought me on it, I wouldn't totally disagree because I think that's a wide open conversation this year. Like it's, and yeah, like week 1's going to be huge, but Garrett Nessmeyer's dealing with a leg injury right now. He's got a leg sleeve on, and LSU's offensive line is going to be, they just lost Will Campbell up front. So, yeah, so I kind of think Clemson's a little bit, I think even maybe a little bit underrated this year.
You had to get Will Campbell in there. You had to get your guy Will Campbell in there. Your new Patriots left tackle in there with Will Campbell and LSU. But staying in the SEC before we wrap. Now, Bama was I think they were 8th in the coaches poll. Now they're 8th in the AP poll, and you're high on them. And they just announced their starting quarterback on Monday. Do you think they're too low at 8? Is Bama too low at 8?
Oh, absolutely.
Really?
I love this Bama team.
Wow.
I think
even with the loss of Milroy, you love this Bama team.
There was things last year I heard he was not a great leader. He was not great. Yeah, there were some things behind closed doors. I guess he's maybe not the best. And I don't think he totally fit Kalen DeBoer's system either. I think Ty Simpson does a little bit more. And Ryan Grubb coming back as OC with Washington. I think he was there with Fresno State too. He was with the Seahawks last year. He's coming back to reunite with Kalen DeBoer. And I've been a Kalen DeBoer fan since he was at Fresno State. I even thought, that the year he's at Indiana as the OC, I thought he did a tremendous job there. I've been a fan of his for a while now. That guy wins wherever he goes. It's last year such a tough. He had to fill Nick Saban. He had to come in and change that whole kind of culture. He had to make it his culture now. Like he had to change the kind of the locker room and all that. And they got 15 guys coming back this year. I don't think Caleb DeBoer has forgotten how to lose. I don't think he's forgotten how to win. And I think they're going to be very improved this year. I think year 2 now with the culture that he set. I think Womack 2 as DC is very good as well. Year 2 with him, I think it's only going to help. So I like the talent that they got up front. And I think their offensive line too is going to be very talented. So, and again, you got Ron Williams as well. So I really like this Bama team. And they're definitely one of the teams that I would not be shocked that they're back with national championship at the end of the year.
Wow, you are high on Kalen DeBoer. You are very, very high. And I know. Hey, listen, he got Washington to a national championship game. I'll give you that. So you are very, very, very high on Kalen DeBoer, and you like this Alabama team. So we'll see what ends up happening. Week 0 is next week in college football.
Armageddon. Yeah, got a top 25 matchup.
It's Kansas State and Iowa State, right?
Iowa State, yeah. The Farmageddon rivalry, they call it.
Wow. So you got to be excited for that, for week 0 of the college football season to kick off. But that's going to wrap up this week on Sports Talk with R&J. For Justin and Afrio, I'm Steve Risser. We'll be back next week talking about that big series in the Bronx between the Yankees and Red Sox. We'll be recapping week 2 of the preseason and looking ahead to week 3 of the preseason as we got that matchup with the Patriots and Giants at MetLife Stadium to close out the preseason. And then we'll be talking about week 0 of the college football season. We'll be talking about that matchup between Kansas State and Iowa State. So enjoy the sports this weekend, and have a great weekend, everyone.
Hello, my name is Joe Aguirre. I'm the president of Clovercrest Media Group. And here at CMG, we have a wide variety of podcasts, including sports shows like Keys to the City, The Roll Call, Throwing Jabs, All Four Downs, and Jawing About the G-Men. And great true crime shows like Sticky Meat, Crimes and Consequences, Ivy League Murders, and Bird. the unsolved murder of David Eichmann. You can find all these podcasts and so much more by visiting clovercrestmedia.com.